Good evening, everyone. My name is Jalissa White-Jones, and boy, do we have a show for you. Tonight, we're going to start off with talking about nutrition and fitness with Drake Watson and Brendan Wells. They are discussing some of our favorite workouts and ways to eat, as well as how we maintain a proper diet in these hectic times.
What's going on, guys? I'm your boy Drake Watson here with
Brendan Wells.
man, and it's exciting. We're just gonna get right into it and start talking about some of our favorite things to do at the gym and like what our preferred split is and how we like working out. So, Brandon, let's get it started. How do you usually train?
Well, right now I have a workout plan that I follow through. I work out 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Monday is push day, Tuesday's pull day, Wednesday's leg day, Thursday's push day, and Friday's pull day again. And then I end every workout with biceps, abs, and cardio.
All right, heck yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Always got to get the bicep pumping
Always.
just because that's what's got you looking juicy. That's the show muscle right there. Out of all of that, man, what's your favorite? Because I know for me personally, I'm kind of a psychopath. I love doing legs as small as mine are. It's still amazing to hit them because nothing tops it. But what about you?
Well, I understand that a lot. When I was in high school, legs were my favorite thing. You know, I was squatting over 450 pounds. I was really confident, and then I pulled a muscle in my back. I tore a ligament in my knee, and now I hate legs. I do everything I can to avoid it. There's a lot of workouts like I refuse to do deadlift because I have a bad back. There are a couple of workouts I'm like that with. So now I'm an upper body guy. So I like bench. I like challenging myself. Always trying to set a new PR every day. It's a daily struggle for me. But my favorite thing, you know, like you said earlier, biceps. I'm all about the biceps in every single workout, no matter what with biceps. What I do is I go over to the dumbbells, start with 50 pounds, hammer curl 5, go down 5 pounds, 6, go down 5 pounds, 7, so forth. I do 10, then I do a set of 15, and then I do 10 forearms in front of me.
Dude,
And then I do that 3 times through.
Honestly, the hammer curls go so overlooked, but nothing gets the job done. Have you ever done the variation where you're on the Smith, not the Smith machine, but the cable pulls actually? How do you feel about those, or do you prefer the dumbbells with it?
Oh, I used to end every workout with the cables. I love doing the cables. It's a new challenge on its own. You can do chest, tries, bis. No matter what you set it up with, there's always a different challenge on the cables. It's a fun workout whenever you're going upper body on the cables. But, I mean, I love my chain circuit so much that it's hard to steer away from that.
I feel you on that. That seems like it's probably crucial. I'm gonna have to add that in next time I'm hitting biceps. My split actually, I got chest by itself. I'm your stereotypical bro split. I have my chest. I have my iso with the back, hit arms all together, so shoulders, biceps, triceps. And then I'm trying to hit legs twice a week just because, like I said, I got these flamingo legs out here, so I'm trying to get those things to grow, man. But out of all that, when it comes to chest, man, honestly, in my opinion, nothing beats the cable flies just because of the tension and the squeeze you get. Nothing, it burns so right, you know what I mean? So with your leg day, since you messed up your back, I feel that I messed up my foot. What variations and like how do you account for these injuries? Because I'm sure a lot of people that are listening also have the question of how do I train when something's hurting my body?
A lot of it is testing it out yourself, seeing what hurts. If something hurts, stop doing it immediately. Don't push through a workout that physically causes you pain. If you have a bad joint, don't overwork that joint. That's the biggest advice I can give you. Like, I don't like to do squat because, like, even though squat doesn't kill me, if I mess up and have bad form, then it's deadly for me. Like, not deadly, but it really hurts me. So instead of doing squat where I'm using a lot of my back, I do leg press. So, like, my back is straight, like it's forced against the seat, and then I can get my own extensions. If I pull it close to me, I can put my knees all the way to my chest and get all the full extended. So what I'll do is I'll do feet close, bottom 10, feet wide, bottom 10, top wide 10, top middle 10, and then I do that 4 times through. So it's a burner workout.
Yeah.
When you can't do heavyweight squat, you got to do burner workouts, in my opinion, and then you always got to get your hamstrings and your quads in and stuff like that. And of course, got to end with calves.
So to break it down for anybody that's actually listening that wants to actually try some of the stuff we're talking about, what Brandon just said with the different foot placements on the leg press machine is it actually targets, it's all hitting the same muscle group, but it's focusing and really hitting certain parts more so than others. So when you're at the top, you're getting more of your lower quad. That's kind of how you get the teardrop look, where it just looks super awesome, I guess. And that's why it's always important when you're working out to look for different variations, right? Like, for example, bench, it's the slightest thing. Tweaking your elbows in can get so much more chest growth. So I'm actually going to reiterate on what Brandon said, though, with his back pain and seeing what works for you. So I tore a ligament in my foot, had to change up a lot of things, and it's always good to switch things up in your routine, but make sure you're doing it safe and smart just because you see somebody else doing it and hitting it. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right, like Brandon said. Now, I want to get into, in the last little bit of this segment, man, eating right now.
Yeah.
Eating right now with all this hectic schedule. We got finals, we got cramming to do. Some of us have stuff in our personal lives with working and stuff. How hard is it for you to stay on track? Because I know for me, I struggle so hard. I try and balance as much as I can, but nothing beats those quick eats when you're just on the go, right?
Oh my goodness. As much as I keep a good workout schedule, one thing I have always struggled with is keeping a good diet schedule. I may do good for a couple of days, and the next thing I know, I just ate an entire bag of Doritos, and I don't know where I am or why I'm there.
Exactly. You're sitting in Taco Bell at 3 a.m. You're like, I don't know how I got here. What? Can I get 3 quesadillas, though? Like, that'd be sweet.
3 quesadillas is always the move. 5 buffalo chicken rolls and Taco Bell, also always the move. Nothing replaces a meal quite like that. But for me, I either sleep in or I wake up early, go to the gym, and have class. So I usually can't eat until kind of late into the day. And by the time I've eaten my first meal, it's too late to be lunch, but too early to be dinner. So then I'm full. I've eaten in the middle of the day. I don't want to eat again later because it's more food and make me feel fat. And then later on, like I said, I'm snacking and I eat a whole bunch of snacks, less nutrition, more calories, and I'm just sitting there like, well, guess I'll start over at the gym tomorrow, and it's a never-ending cycle for me.
I'm in the same boat as you, man, because like I'll sit there and I'll wake up late, and it's like, man, I really have to just go and do what I have to do today. And then you finally get the chance to eat, and you're just like, you're satisfied for a while. So I'm sitting here, like, I look back on my diet these past couple, like, of weeks with everything being so hectic since midterms, man. I'm eating probably twice a day. I'm living on the plant diet right now. Water and sunlight's all I'm getting to sustain type thing. So, like, I find myself victim to eating some really, really bad foods because I'll eat that first meal, and then those taquitos are always calling my name.
Oh my
the
goodness.
5 for 4,
You're
man.
me.
Oh my gosh. And then they got the cream cheese jalapeno ones now. Ooh.
You want to go to 7-Eleven after this?
Hey, we might have to.
Yeah.
But I know the biggest thing to do with that, though, is because I've been obviously working out pretty intensely the last couple years of my life. So, like, it's just about jumping back on, man.
Mm-hmm.
I sit there and I'll have these periods, but it's more important to stay consistent and kind of just always be conscious of what we're eating, dude. But that's so hard when that fried chicken's looking at you and the chicken you eat's not even cooked.
Another big obstacle I have is I'm a very, very picky eater. There's a lot of foods, like, I don't even like salad. Like, that is, like, the number one go-to food for healthy people. It's like, I'm so limited to what I'll eat just because I don't know. I guess I don't really have any real excuse for it, but that's just the way it is with me. And so I actually eat a lot better when I'm back home because me and my girl and her family, we go out to eat all the time. When I'm out at restaurants, I'm more conscious. Like when I'm out somewhere spending money, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll get asparagus instead of fries this time around. And then I can sit the asparagus in my steak juice, and then it'll balance each other out.
Exactly.
When I'm home, there's not as many snack options as when I'm in dorm room because my parents give me a lot of money when I'm here, so I can just keep buying snacks. But when I'm
got
back
those
home,
little Debbies on deck.
Absolutely.
Dude, no, I'm actually the complete opposite. When it comes to eating, I am the least picky eater, man. You put it in front of me, I don't care what it is.
I'm jealous.
It's going straight down. My diet consists of the seafood diet, man. Seafood, eat food. Am I right? But that's actually going to wrap it up for us, man, because that's time. So, again, this is your boy Drake Wanshon signing off for the night.
And I'm Brandon Wells. You'll see me again later.
Thank you, Drake and Brandon. That trip to 7-Eleven actually sounds really great right now. Next, we have Dean Baker, who will be talking to JMU junior and Navy veteran Jordan Simul about his show, The Salt.
Good evening, and welcome to BC Voice Radio. I am Dean Barker. Tonight, I have a very special guest. He leads the podcast known as The Salt. He's a JMU junior, and he's also a Navy veteran, and my good friend, Jordan Simul.
How's it going, Dean? What's up, man?
Glad to have you on. So, we're going to get right into it.
Awesome.
So, let's just get a little bit of info on who is Jordan Simul and why did I invite you on here.
Yeah, even I don't know sometimes, man. So please, let's get started.
Well, that was the question.
Oh,
Like,
well,
give you a
I
little
guess
bit-
I'm answering then. All right. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's a little weird sometimes being in Madison, just because I'm a almost 26-year-old junior. Reason being for that, oh yeah, I know, I don't look it, but I love getting the reaction out of people. Reason being is because I'm a 4-year Navy vet. Also, I served on the USS Nimitz for 4 years. My entire life, though, I wanted to be a news anchor, sports reporter, all the above, and I found that at JMU, and so here I am.
All right. So you run the podcast known as The Salt.
I do.
I've actually been on there once. It was a great time.
I loved having you on too, by the way. Man.
Yeah,
It was fun.
So how did you get the idea to start this podcast? I mean, you're a college student,
Sure.
not really known by a lot of people. Like, what was the motivation behind it?
I think the Salt too. It's not just a podcast. It actually, that's what it started off as. It has evolved. It's evolved into something so much more since then, because it's basically a hub just for journalism. So what you'll have is there'll be podcasts one day. Later, a week from that, there'll be 2 or 3 articles that come out, or short stories, or there's a video cast at some points. But the podcasting is what we're known for, and the idea. Because again, this is something that I just wanted to do for forever, and I found podcasting probably my second year in the Navy, back in 2015, and it just stuck with me because we were out to sea constantly. It just never happened back then. But just I had a good 8-month break from when I got out of the Navy and before I went to JMU, and I just thought, you know what, if I'm gonna start something, now is the time to do it. And then it literally started off where I was just talking to my laptop. I had no equipment at all, and now it's just this. There's equipment, there's guest stars. I get hundreds of engagements a week, sometimes thousands total, depending on what's up there. Yeah, and I mean, bottom line is we talk sports, we talk just. I love making people laugh too. It's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know, I was actually a guest. I think I said this already. I was a guest on The Salt. I think it was the Friday after the Nationals won the World Series.
Yeah.
So we got to go on there, talk some baseball. Jordan's buddy Mike was a longtime Jets fan ever since he was a kid. He just got fed up with the whole Jets losing and everything. And live on the show, he apostatized from the Jets and became a Saints fan. He zipped off the Jets jacket he had on with a Drew Brees jersey on underneath.
Oh yeah.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
He threw out everything, and if we weren't indoors in a school building, if we were out backwoods somewhere, he would have lit that on fire. I guarantee you. He especially after they lost to the Bengals, and they were the first team to do so. Mike has just been laughing and just having so much fun not being a Jets fan since. So he definitely he's definitely taken what he gave us on that show, and he's carrying it still to this day.
Yeah, so as you can tell, The Salt is just a place where we can talk about anything. We just have a great time.
Crazy happens.
Whatever you want to bring up is fair game. So, moving on from that, yeah, you're actually starting a book.
I am starting a book.
So, what information do you have about that and the whole process behind it?
All right, well, I know I just put out a little kind of infomercial thing on it this morning. Not even an infomercial. I don't know why I said that. Just a little informational video. Just me kind of messing around. Typically, if I can go back to The Salt for a second, because it is involved with the page, which you can find on Facebook. I'll get to the shameless self-endorsement later. But basically what happened was I just thought, I woke up and, for example, I put out a short story. It's about 2,800 words. And my humor being a veteran, it's a little dry sometimes. And I just woke up and I thought, it'd be funny to write a short story about vegans getting eaten by homeless people for Thanksgiving. And that's what happened. So it took me 2 days, and the story came out, and people loved it. I had one friend of mine from when I was a kid, and he went on Facebook after reading it, and he said, okay, you know what? I came here to criticize this. I'm dying laughing right now. And of course, the humor is never to offend. It's just to have fun and make people laugh. And I know if I'm laughing, it's going to be a good time. So what the book is essentially, it's just going to be all these short stories. And it could be about literally anything. And there's one I'm writing right now, a little bit of a sneak preview, and it's actually a personification, like rock bottom is a place. And it's about someone who goes there and discovers what it's about for the first time. So it can range from it's very humorous to it might be a little emotional to what just happened. But it's going to be a bunch of short stories, just back to forth. I want it to be somewhat sizable, so I'm going to give it some time. But there will definitely be a book coming out, and it's just going to be the short story aspect of what The Salt is.
Awesome. So you said The Salt. I actually forgot about this. The Salt actually has a blog aspect as well.
It does.
So what mainly goes on in the blog, and does that ever coincide with what goes on the show?
Oh yeah. Well, the blog, and I would love it if my fans, we're Salt Nation, all of us. So yeah, I would love it if the blog comes out, and we do have top fans, Mike being one of them. I wish we got a little more engagement out of them, because there'll be days where I'm like, okay, what do you guys want me to write about, talk about, whatever next? And it's just crickets. And it's like, fine. And there was one time where I actually did a podcast that was literally about nothing. I just took a bunch of like random kind of like Seinfeld-ish audio segments and just pieced those together, and I got a laugh out of that. But the blog is anything goes. And especially since there's a lot of vets that are fans of the page as well, it can get a little crazy. I know we were debating having like a meme contest, but if it's around a bunch of veterans, I don't know if it would have been a great idea to mix that in with a bunch of civvies. So we've postponed that if possible. But yeah, the blog is just for literally anyone to pop up or be like, hey, I think this sports team is, great, not great, etc. I think this meme is awesome. I think, as far as where I think this team might be going or something, it's there just to be an open forum, and I love getting the engagement out of people when they go on it, and it's just amazing too to know that maybe the work that you're doing also, you might not even think it's that significant when you're doing, but then someone hits you up 2 days later and they go, oh my god, this was amazing, and then they share it and it keeps going.
Yeah, so that aspect of being like giving service to the people with obviously comedy in the Salt or like entertainment. One thing, a service you've provided for a lot of people is you are a Navy veteran.
I am.
So what was that like? What's it like being a veteran after that?
Let me tell you, active duty, man. Active duty is rough. I know on a lot of both physically and emotionally, but also spiritually, and in every sort of phrase of the word being hard, it is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But as a veteran now, it's incredibly rewarding. For example, I have not paid a dime for any of my tuition at JMU so far, thanks to the GI Bill. I know all my friends from back when I did serve, we're all still in touch. I'd love to see them more, but I know they're all doing well, and they've all got families now, wives, and some of them have kids that aren't even a year old yet. So we all stay in touch, and then the JMU, the veteran community that I'm the public affairs officer for out here, is fantastic, and Mike's a vet too, so I've met people like him, and then it just provides this. It's an amazing outlet because veterans, they're the greatest people that you'll ever meet. They've given so much, and
Absolutely.
they expect so little in return, and I love working with them.
Yeah, that's the thing. We always appreciate. We're going to get into some Politicast later on in the show, but we always appreciate what people like you and Mike have done for our country. I don't think we could ever repay it. So from all of us here at Bridgewater, BC Voice, we thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate that.
All right, and that's just about all the time we have.
All right,
Once
man.
again, I'm Dean Barker. This is Jordan Simul. Tune in to his podcast at the Salt W/JGS.
You can find it in the Facebook search bar, just the little @ insignia, The Salt JGS, and you will find it.
All right.
Go have a laugh.
Be sure to tune into that, and we're going to head out. Peace.
Later.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you, Jordan, for coming down here from JMU. We sure enjoyed your company. Next, we have Michael Sheets, Zach Rogers, and Sanita Fields discussing the impeachment, party loyalty, Republicans' workaround, Trump's focus on 2020 election, question if Trump would step down if impeachment is imminent, like Nixon. If impeachment will Pence run the country or focus on being elected?
All right, what's up, guys? This is Michael Sheets.
I'm Santia Fields.
I'm Zachary Rogers.
and today we're going to be talking about the politics talk of Trump's impeachment.
Heck yeah. So impeachment with Trump. So, what do y'all think about it? Like, should he be impeached? Should he not?
I feel like he's going to be impeached, but I don't think he's going to be removed.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been so many opportunities for Trump to be impeached. He has done so many questionable things. I feel like this is the one that tipped over the edge because he's doing it for his own personal gain, and also just like withholding a stupid amount of money for like against Ukraine just for his own next what is it? Yeah, just for his personal gain.
But you could say that he was doing it for the benefit of the country to make sure there wasn't like a corrupt candidate in office.
But I feel like
Already corrupt.
yeah, I feel like most people are gonna like debunk that. He is a businessman first and foremost. That's how he got like into presidency, and you could also say with like Russian votes. But we can get away from that. But yeah, but I agree with you, Santia. Even if he does like technically get like impeached, the trial like he's guilty, he's not gonna get removed from office. And even if he does get removed from office, like who's taking over?
Vice President.
Pence.
Yeah.
And I don't think
I don't think
he's
any
even
better.
no. And well, it might be better for the country because if like people aren't gonna vote for Pence, people don't think Pence is good for the country. He's just agreeing with what Trump wants to do, and I don't know.
But also, like, since he has pretty much all of Trump's values, like he's Trump's man, people would just vote for him instead of Trump.
Yeah,
That'd
but if he's going with the same values and the same, I feel like some of Trump's corruptness could rub off on Pence.
His approval ratings are still going down
Oh,
since the
100%.
beginning of it. So if Pence has the same mindset, I don't think that they're going to vote for him. But also on the flip side, the way that Clinton got impeached but not removed, he got reelected. So there's the possibility of that happening to Trump also.
But if he like is sentenced, if he gets impeached, I feel like his ratings will go even further down. And I feel like there's no way he can't get impeached because there's so much evidence, so many people that have confirmed the call, that have confirmed like the withdrawal, like withholding of money from Ukraine, and also on the flip side from Ukraine, people not close to the president of Ukraine saying that, hey, I heard that Trump is doing this for his own gain. And I don't know.
So what do you think about the Republicans' parties, like their loyalty to Trump? Do you think it will falter? Do you think it will stay?
Well, as a current Republican, I don't know. I would like to see myself. I'm a Republican, but I'm mid-wing, so I don't think it is valid for Republicans to stay close to Trump. He has done some good things for the economy, but I don't like with foreign relations. Trump is just kind of isolating himself. It's kind of like going back to World War One, before World War One, where he just isolationism, and I don't think that's going to be good for our country and for the rest of the world, because that could potentially start another world war if we're not too careful.
So you think another world war is possible?
It's possible. I don't think it's imminent, but I just think if we isolate ourselves too much, that we can let certain events go out of our sight, and just we take a blind eye to it, and the dominoes can keep just falling. But
yeah, America's seen as the role model of the world.
yeah.
So do you think that this could be like Nixon and Watergate? You know, like the same kind of concept?
I think Trump has like too much of an ego to let himself resign.
Oh yeah, he definitely wouldn't resign.
He would not resign.
So you think he would rather just be humiliated and go through the process of
He
being
already
impeached?
humiliates himself on Twitter.
That's very true.
He posts so many contradicting things, and he contradicts himself all the time when he's talking about it. he's talking about certain specific issues, and he's just this certain vocabulary he uses. Just I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of vulgar.
Yeah.
So do you think that, like, the locker room talks and things like that, do you think that that should prevent him from getting reelected, or do you think that the Ukraine thing is enough to keep him from getting reelected?
Enough, like, keeping him from getting reelected? I don't know. I don't know if there's any strong candidates in the Democratic Party for Trump to not get reelected. I don't know, because I know Mike Bloomberg he just announced that he was running for presidency, and I know for myself, I watch YouTube a lot, and I see so many ads for Mike Bloomberg. I think he's gonna get that candidate, like that, the candidacy for the Democratic Party because of all the ads and all the money he's pouring into it. But I don't know if he's necessarily the best candidate against Trump, because he's a businessman.
I was gonna ask you, do you think that businessmen should be in office? Do you think that they look more like out for businesses, or do they look out for the American people?
It's more for businesses. I don't know, like, I feel like it would be the same thing, like, focusing on the United States and its economy, and, like, we're getting jobs, we're getting new jobs and stuff for, like, middle class, lower class people, but we're ultimately not focusing on the other side, like, around the world, like, other issues going around the world, and just kind of isolating ourselves again. I don't think anything would change.
What do you think, Michael?
I was kind of thinking, like, we should definitely focus on the internal struggle that is, if most people, like, I'm Republican, any Democratic candidate I hate. That is a problem.
Yeah. I don't know. So wait, what do you think, Sanita?
I think that, like, I don't think we should have business people in office. I think it should be somebody that is more for the people, since that's what the option of president is for. It's somebody to speak for the people and to represent the people. If you represent businesses count as people, but you're not really doing what's in the best interest of the people.
Yeah, well, I think whenever there's a campaign for presidency, they never show who they're really going to be for president. And that's the problem, is they say they're going to do these things, and they ultimately don't, or they contradict themselves and do the opposite. And I don't know. For me, the entire thing for candidacy for presidency, I don't know, it's not valid.
I guess as long as they know what they're doing and they show that they're competent enough to be the president, and yeah, I think they're good. So, like I said earlier, the internal problem that is, like, the diehard Republicans, diehard Democrats not, like, agreeing with the other case or the other side just because they're the other side.
Yeah.
So do you think we should find common ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
Definitely, but yes. But when would we find common ground?
I don't know. Well, one last note. I just think that people are way too set on their values for Republicans and Democrats.
That's true.
Like, they're way set on their values, and they're like, we're gonna think about this the entire time. We're gonna stay on this, because even if there's evidence to back this, and I feel like Democrats and Republicans should take the both either side, and shouldn't just be hard-headed.
Yeah, of course.
But I think we're out of time.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Thank you, Michael, Zach, and Santia, for kind of giving us a feel what's going on in the political world right now. Next, we have Justin Rogers and Holden Andrews doing Squawk Talk, and they will be discussing Disney Plus and some of their favorite movies and shows. I know I have plenty of those.
What's up, guys? It's here for Squawk Talk. I'm Justin Rogers.
And I'm Holden Andrews.
And we're here, two wacky guys, talking about some crazy and wacky stuff. So, Holden, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, before we get into today's topic, I just want to ask you, what was it like? You know, your brother was just in here, you know, passing the torch along. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Brought tears to my eyes. I mean, he has a great radio voice. I would love to see him on the broadcast a little bit more, but Sibling bonding right there, and we weren't even in the same studio with one another.
We love that. But anyway, our topic for today, it's a topic on everybody's mind lately, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Disney Plus.
Oh, man.
Let's just dive right in. Let's see. Well, where you want to start? You want to start?
All right, let's start with what everybody's talking about with Disney Plus. When you think of Disney Plus, in my opinion, you have to think of The Mandalorian.
You have to.
Have you seen The Mandalorian?
I haven't. I've been on a classic movie kick right now.
Okay,
but,
that's great.
Yeah,
That's
but
great.
my mom's watched the first 2 episodes. She says I need to watch them
Okay.
ASAP. But what do you think of
Okay,
it?
are you okay with some spoilers right now?
Minimal.
You okay?
Minimal.
Minimal spoilers?
yes.
Okay, there will be a little bit of spoilers for The Mandalorian. In my opinion, this is from an opinion of somebody who is a Star Wars fan. I think Mandalorian is going to blow Episode 9 out of the water.
Really?
And as far as popularity, it's so much better than Episode 8 already. Right up there, honestly, with Episode 7. The way that it's made. Jon Favreau, who's done a lot, has done some Marvel.
Yeah, he played Hoppy in Iron Man and the Avengers.
Yeah,
and all that.
he's the one who wrote some of the script and directed some of the episodes,
Okay.
and it is fantastic. It has the right
love
amount
to
of
see
humor,
it.
but you know what makes this. You know what makes Mandalorian. It has it's Baby Yoda. That is where the cuteness and the humor comes from, and because there's a lot not dark stuff that happens in it, but it's just some heavy stuff that happens, just with talking about the Mandalorian, and there's times where it goes back to his past, and so it brings you into it, and it's just a new level of Star Wars because it's the first ever live action Star Wars television show that's ever been released. So blew my expectations out of the water.
Now give me a little timeline. Is this before Phantom Menace?
So
When is
actually, this is after. So this is between episode 6 and episode 7. So
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So if you just to give a little bit of a spoiler and a little bit of fan theory because I love theories. So with Baby Yoda being 50 years old, Darth Vader died when he was 45, and this was 5 years after that.
Right.
So you could give a theory that you know how in Star Wars they say when dark rises, light rises to meet it. There is a theory that Anakin Skywalker was born from the dark, so Baby Yoda was born from the light to meet it.
Ooh, I like that.
So
I like that.
and it's just fantastic. I don't know why they haven't tried to bring it up in any of the Star Wars movies, but it's just great. I love it.
Yeah. All right. So moving out of the Mandalorian, what do you want to talk about next?
Oh, what do we want? Let's just talk about classic kids movies that we grew up on.
And,
Classic Disney
let me
kids
just say
movies.
this is a callback to one of our first Squawk Talks of the
Oh my
year.
God.
We gave our list of top childhood cartoons.
Oh yeah.
What are you most excited to start?
All right. Well, so there's one show that I haven't seen forever. Recess. Recess. It was a fantastic show. It's pretty much about fourth graders in the fourth grade kind of going through elementary school and stuff.
Gotcha,
And it
gotcha.
they're basically is about them playing on the playground and then mean principal, mean assistant principal, that kind of thing. And I grew up on they had a Recess movie, so I watched that movie a lot as a kid, and then I also watched the show, but I didn't watch it that much. So it was cool because I've been binging the first 10 episodes, so and which is great, and I loved it. So it was just a good callback to childhood. So all right, so what show was it for you that first show you had to watch?
First show I had to watch. Well, you see, we got it over Thanksgiving break, so I started it with my family, and my little sister, she's 9, so Ashlyn, my twin sister, and I, we started Good Luck Charlie, which is the best live action Disney show, the best live action Disney ever made. You can at me in the comments. You can come up to me on campus. We can debate this. It is the best show. Period.
I don't know about that one.
End
Chief.
of sentence.
Don't know about that one, Chief.
End of sentence.
I think, I'm not a huge fan, but I mean, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was better. Even Hannah Montana was better in my opinion.
Really?
I think it was, dude. Maybe it was because when Good Luck Charlie came out, I was in my teens,
Gotcha.
and I grew up
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Zack and Cody and Hannah Montana. I'm sure for people that are elementary school going into middle school, that's probably when it came out for most of them, and they loved it. I'm not saying it was a bad show because it was a good show. And that was the time where that was, I think, the peak of Disney, and then
Yeah.
there's shows
Oh,
tank
for
from
sure.
that. I
For
guarantee Phineas and
sure.
Ferb was the last good show that Disney made.
I think you're right with that one. All right, but we're forgetting a big chunk of this new program, Marvel movies.
Marvel movies. Oh man.
What's the first one you're gonna watch?
So the first one I've watched
No,
was
already watched.
I
Okay,
already did
okay.
at over break with my family. Ant-Man. That was
Okay,
it's one of those
yeah.
ones where it's not the most popular. Obviously, Ant-Man is critical to the plot of Endgame.
Of course.
Critical.
Of course.
But that first Ant-Man movie is just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie just because it does have the comedy, but also the plot is spot on. I love it. It was one of those movies like Guardians of the Galaxy. You never heard of this superhero whatsoever, and you go into the theater and you watch it and you're like, I never heard of this superhero, but I want to know more.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that was for me, but also it's kind of a Marvel movie, but kind of not because it was written by Stan Lee. But another movie, Big Hero 6. So
I
technically,
love that movie.
it could be considered a Marvel-ish movie because it was written by Stan Lee, but it's really a Disney movie. But that was one of the first movies I had to watch because I'm like, I haven't seen this movie in years.
The soundtrack for that movie, Fallout Boy. Wow, just spectacular.
Yes.
But for me, I had to start with the one movie for whatever reason I don't own on DVD, Black Panther. I had to start
Okay.
there, rewatch it, and then after that, I'm really feeling Age of Ultron for some reason.
Okay. That's one of those Avengers movies that is left out.
Yeah.
I think a lot. Even
Yeah.
though it was one of the I think better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I think all the Avengers movies were good.
For sure.
And that's definitely one that's left out. I think Ultron is right up there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right below Thanos. I think Thanos is the greatest villain of all time.
Yeah.
Ultron is right there.
Oh, for sure. Just the sheer magnitude of what he can do.
I think it really showed like the relationships between all the Avengers too,
That's the
more than
reason-
it did the first one because it really showed you like, okay, they're a family, they're with one another. Because the first one, like, they're like introducing one another to each other, but also I think it really set up Civil War.
Yeah,
It
and then
had to set up. Civil
but and
War.
then the ones after that, they're either fighting each other or it's just every single superhero in the universe, going and fighting. And as much as I loved Endgame, it's so nice to see just the 6 of them.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about all the National Geographic on there? You gonna get into it at all?
No, I mean I guess I could. It's like one of those things where like something that you need like to fall asleep or you got nothing else to do,
Or you need to
kind of
really
thing.
focus on something, but you don't want to listen to music.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, I think like as a kid I watched National Geographic a little bit, and it's like it's cool to see like nature, but also have like that kind of voiceover. I know that I think Morgan Freeman did that a little bit.
Oh, really?
I think he did a little bit. Maybe it wasn't National Geographic, but it was definitely like a nature documentary. So I kind of like those things, but it's definitely not the first thing I'm gonna watch on Disney Plus. To be completely honest with
That's for sure. All right. I'm gonna switch up the topic a little bit.
Oof.
Favorite segment you and I have done this semester?
you. Oh man.
Hit me with it.
Jeez, if I can remember back to all the segments that we've done. Honestly, I think my favorite and the most like the well done that we've had, it had to be the holiday one. The holiday one
That's
is
what
my
I was
favorite.
gonna say.
And you probably know the reason why, Dewey. I hope you're listening because Hawaiian rolls are fantastic, and that's why it's one of my favorites.
You're
just
so
because
right.
of that.
You're so right. I brought some back. We had some at the house. I took them out of the drawer and brought them back with me. They are that
Yes.
good.
That was the thing. My mom was like, "Well, your grandma's gonna be making some rolls." I'm like, "But we have to have Hawaiian rolls, Mom. We have to have Hawaiian rolls."
Oh me. Yeah, but I'm excited for next semester. We gotta keep the energy going.
Oh, we gotta keep the energy going.
Should we make a little announcement? Should we?
We gotta make this announcement.
I think we do.
We have to.
I think we do. You got it.
Okay. So next semester, guys. I mean, you love us as Squawk Talk, and the announcement that we have is we're gonna do a podcast.
Yes, we are.
Next semester, we're still gonna be doing Squawk Talk on broadcast, but we're just gonna be mixing it up a little. We're gonna have some segments, and we're just gonna be two wacky dudes just talking about wacky stuff as
Talking
usual.
about even more wacky stuff. Just be ready for it.
Oh yeah.
But I think Justin's giving me the good old fingers turning signal. So
Oh, yeah.
that's all the time we have. But for all of you out there listening, thank you for sticking with us throughout the semester and through tonight.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
I'm Holden Andrews.
And I'm Justin Rogers.
Thank you, Justin and Holden. And some of the shows that you guys talked about Recess and Phineas and Ferb were some that I hold dear and found funny and hysterical as well. Next, we have Brandon Wells and Jacob Hughes talking about BC sports. As the seasons are coming to a close, we once again visit all fall sports team performance over the season and preview those who are competing in the spring.
What is up, everyone? Brandon Wells is back in here, and joining me as always for BC Sports is Jacob Haugh. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
It's always a pleasure having you on, Jacob. And BC Sports, ladies and gentlemen, you all love them. And we're here with all of the news, updates, and records of the current in-season teams and now, I guess, out-of-season teams. So,
Of course.
if you haven't been listening to us in our last broadcast where a couple of seasons were ending up, we're going to go ahead and quickly recap some of the seasons. So, we're going to start out with men's soccer, as always. Finished the season 5-12-1. They were 3-5 in the conference, but they sadly lost in the first round of the ODAT tournament after just squeezing into the postseason, where they lost to Randolph College 3-1.
It's neither here nor there. We've had this conversation on this broadcast many times about how you've got to look forward to the future of this men's soccer program and just hope that the young core you have coming up can produce. There was a lot of injuries this year. Let's see if they can move forward and have some success. Now, if we move forward and we look at the women's side of things for Bridgewater Soccer, they're on the uptrend. I mean, they had their NCAA tournament bid last year, and this year they were 12-7-2, 7-3 in the ODAC. They lost in the second round of the ODAC tournament to the undefeated Randolph-Macon Yellow Jackets. And it was 1-0 in overtime. And they have also 3 all-region team awards. So that's a lot of accomplishments all in one statement. It's a lot to sponge up there. But the women's soccer team is definitely in the right direction right now. What are your thoughts?
This is a team that really impressed me late into the season. They started out the season kind of rough, and then they finished strong. They got into the playoffs at a pretty good bid after beating a couple of good teams both at home and on the road. They went to play Washington and Lee, who going in was undefeated, and they beat Washington and Lee. Huge upset. Then they had to play another undefeated team in Randolph-Macon, and they almost got it, Jacob. They were very close, and kudos to them for the great season they had. Hopefully they continue moving forward. A lot of great seniors are graduating this year, so hopefully it doesn't hurt them too bad, but there's a lot of promise in a young team. And moving forward, we have one of the more struggling teams that finished the season. They finished 5-14. They were 3-5 in the conference. And another postseason team, most Bridgewater teams have been. They lost first round in the ODAT tournament, just like the men's soccer team, to Washington and Lee, and 2 3-1 losses. And they had 4 all ODAC award players.
I think what they have now are pieces. And now you can start finishing the puzzle. You have recruits coming in next year. You have a solid core. All these teams at Bridgewater, and now they've reloaded. Now they're getting the time to build as a program. And I think field hockey just is another one of those teams that's going to take some time, but give it a year or two, be patient with this program, and they will be successful. And I guarantee you'll see them in the second round of the playoffs next year.
This is a very young team, too.
Yes.
Very, very young team. They didn't graduate a whole lot of seniors. They should be just fine moving forward.
And then after field hockey, we have volleyball. And I'm not going to say that it was a disappointing season for volleyball, because in no way, shape, or form was it at all. They were 23-7. They were 9-3 in the ODAC. They lost in the ODAC quarterfinals to Washington and Lee 3-1. Rachel Gaston, earned ODAC Player of the Year award and All-American Achievements. And just shout out to Rachel. Congratulations on an amazing season. Congratulations to the Eagles on an amazing year. One thing I noticed with this team is they were very streaky, and if they can become extremely consistent with the way they score their points, whenever they have a match, if they can become a consistent team set to set, they will be unstoppable. When you look at these juggernauts of the ODAC, you look at Washington and Lee, you look at Randolph-Macon, they were consistent, set to set, and if you beat them on a set, it's because you outplayed them. It's not because they made little mistakes.
This is a team that was looking very, very strong early in the season. I think they started out the season like 11-0, something like that. Very powerful. They hardly dropped any sets in their losses early in the season either. Then they started doing what basketball's doing a little bit. They were fluctuating some people in, getting their depth, and trying to get more people in, and they got a couple losses out of that. Postseason came around. They were nursing some injuries here, and then they ended up losing an upset to Washington and Lee. But overall, great season for volleyball. They usually do overperform, and they did so as well. But now we're going to move on to everyone's most anticipated sport here at Bridgewater, or at least this season. Football finished their first regular season since 2002 undefeated, perfect 10-0, 8-0 in the conference, where they beat Randolph-Macon in that highly anticipated ODAT championship game, where it was 28-21 victory, but it was more than a one-score victory if you look at how the actual game went. But this was a football team that was very well. They're getting sized up for a ring, so congratulations to all the players on that team. And this is a team that was ranked nationally for most of the year. They came out, they played a Delaware Valley team who, on paper, in the NCAA tournament, on paper looked almost identical to Bridgewater. If you looked at their roster, look at what they've done throughout the year, they're almost identical stats. Probably the best matchup in all of the NCAA first round tournament, if you ask me. And this is a team that could have won. They could have won. There was a couple mistakes that didn't count on. Gerard Denham, though. Holy crap. The return game on special teams against Delaware Valley almost single-handedly gave Bridgewater the win. But they lost in the first round to Delaware Valley Aggies, and it was, you can't hang your head down. You were undefeated, and you got a ring.
And not even that you got a ring, there's talent across the board here. Viante Tucker, Rookie of the Year for the ODAC. And you look at Coach Michael Clark. Congratulations, Coach of the Year for the ODAC. And then you look at first team all ODAC mentions. That would be Jay Scroggins. He's your first team quarterback. You also have Connor Cleffman, first team all ODAC. You also have Will Hoffman, first team all ODAC. And one more time, can I hear it, Cole Cooksey, first team all ODAC. And that is just the offensive players. You got Rayshawn Myers, first team all ODAC. You got Gary Ramey Jr. You have Matt Dang. There's a lot of players on this team that are leaving that makes next season way more interesting than this year. You have your ring, you're sized up, you did something amazing. Now, can you do it again? And can these young players who've been sitting for a little bit produce?
This is a team that might struggle in the next 2 seasons. They are graduating a whole lot of seniors. Almost every starting job on the field is going to be open.
Yep.
They don't have as much junior and sophomore depth this year, but freshman depth. Holy cow. I think they have like 5 freshman receivers that got playtime this season. All looks incredible. In a couple of years, that receiving core for Bridgewater will be the best in the conference again, and I can see them competing again in the future. But again, they have momentum right now. They very well could put a good season together. They have a good backup in Matt Lawton, could come in, light it up next year. Of course, there's going to be a QB position battle right now, but it's up in the air on who will be the starting quarterback next year. Scroggins is graduating. He was a 5th-year senior this year. So congratulations to him on everything he's done here. And some of the best players, Rayshawn Myers is graduating. Gary Raymond Jr. is graduating. A lot of really big names. But, I mean, we have good depth, especially up front on the defensive line. Good coaching behind the teams. They know how to put something together. And if you look at the ODAC, a lot of teams are facing the same situation.
Yeah, I think it's every year you have to reload, and who's going to do it the quickest is the problem. I think the Eagles took 2 years to reload, and they were 10-0, and it's a huge accomplishment. So congratulations to Bridgewater football. Let's move on to a sport that's pretty intriguing here at Bridgewater, men's basketball, as well as women's. We'll get there in a second. They're 2-4, and they're 0-1 in the conference. Their next game is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Randolph-Macon. Their leading scorer is Chandler Murray, and Chandler Murray has 17.7 points a game. One thing in college basketball that you need if you're going to be a dominant team is leadership. And when I look across the board at this team, and I'm looking at their stats right now, I'm cheating a little bit, but there's a spread of talent across the board. There's a bunch of different players in double figures. And one thing that's different than last year with Coach Post is now there's not a star, there's a team. And there's a huge difference in the way they play. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think they're going to win tomorrow, Macon?
I think that this is a team that has to figure out a lot of team things. New head coach in the year, a couple of new faces on the team. They're getting a lot of new kids in to play without cycling them in. This is a team that I think may struggle early, but they can finish really late, I believe. I think this is a team that Randolph-Macon's always a competitive team, especially they're our rivals almost pretty much. And so it'll be a really intriguing game tomorrow, but we got to move on now. We're running out of time, so we're going to move on to women's basketball, who is they're struggling. They're 0-6 right now, 0-1 in the conference, and they also have their next game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Virginia Wesleyan. So both basketball teams are on the road tomorrow night. Hopefully women's basketball can put it together and finish off the season pretty strong. Then we have track and field. Sorry, Jacob, we got to move on. We're almost out of time. Track and field has their first meet this Friday. So track and field season's beginning this week. They have the Bast
Krieger, I believe.
Bast Krieger Invitational, and that is held at Roanoke College. That is this Friday, so tune in to updates on that on the Bridgewater College website if you want to know how that went. And last but definitely not least, cross country. They finished all of their scheduled tournaments this year. We haven't talked about them much on the broadcast so far this year, but they finished all of them. They've been all right. They haven't been bad. They haven't been good. They've been right in the middle. They've been in the top half most of the time. So congratulations to them. Again, I mean, lost a couple people last year, but it's a pretty good team moving forward. So hopefully that all works out. And of course, you have golf and swim, which they're doing fine. There's also nothing to worry about with those teams. But that's all we have for tonight with BC Voice, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I'm Brandon Wells.
And I'm Jacob Haugh.
And we will be back later.
Stay blessed.
Thank you, Brandon and Jacob, on that recap on BC Sports. And again, congratulations to Bridgewater football. You guys did great this season. Next, we have Justin Rogers and Joe Carron discussing what I think is very frightening in itself and also a sport, which I think is Black Friday. There was some interesting sales out there this year, and the crowds were insane. So I'm going to give it to them.
Thanks, Jalissa. Hey, I'm Joe.
What's up? I'm Justin Rogers.
And we're just going to talk about, something that's... It kind of just happens every year, and it's just the same story every year, sort of. Black Friday.
Black Friday.
All right, people lose their minds on Black Friday. All right? They want to get all these Xboxes and the Amazon devices.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's a great day for a lot of people. A lot of people, they get some good deals.
Yeah.
But it seems like every year you hear more and more stories about like violent people fighting. There's like violence happening. Like, do you agree with that or not? Like,
I agree with that. I think part of it is, I think, a stereotype of what Black Friday is like, but also that stuff happens. Like, it's all over, the news. I mean, it's one thing that I think is constantly brought up when it comes to Black Friday. And that's one of the reasons why I don't Black Friday shop, because like the question is it worth it? Is it worth it to go and have, it might not happen when you get trampled or whatever, like whatever happens, but is it worth it to have that happen to you to get the gift for somebody else over yourself?
Well, I think you're right about like the stereotype part, because the news doesn't report about like all the safe Black Friday incidents. Like you're only going to see the reports about like someone getting hurt or stabbed on Black Friday. So there is a bit of like media bias there. But what do you think a solution would be to like these things happening? Like, should we have more security? Like, should we what should we do about it?
More security could work. I don't think this is something that is gonna happen soon. It's probably gonna happen later, but I could definitely see Black Friday shopping moving to only online. Yeah. To be completely honest, I mean, you have Cyber Monday, and that's great. But I mean, when I do my Black Friday shopping, it's always online anyway. And I think sometimes it's the experience for Black Friday, and I think that's what a lot of people would say. That's why they go Black Friday shopping, just for the experience, and I get that. But I don't think it's out of hand yet. But if it gets to that point, I think it will move to only online.
If it becomes more frequent. Like, it's funny that you say that, because Cyber Monday, which was yesterday, was the highest selling single 24-hour span for Amazon online.
Yeah. So, and that's also the question. If it does move online, Black Friday, like, what does that do to Cyber Monday? So I think because there's a Cyber Monday, it might not move. Yeah. Where it's only online.
Well, yeah.
And then I guess the question is, if it's not online, then what do you do? Is the question. I mean, like you said, more security. I think that is a solution, but I just don't. I think it might be inevitable, that there's going to be something. I mean, not everything can go right, especially when you're Black Friday shopping.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe, like, it would be a good idea to have, like, a week that's, like, kind of like Black Friday, but, the deals aren't as, like, insane, so people aren't rushing to all get into the same store. It's, like, maybe a little less, and make it a little less enticing.
Yeah. Or make it 7 days. Or maybe make it like the first, like, how many ever people that come in, like, get the shop or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is a very interesting topic, because like we see Black Friday, and again we have that stereotype of like, oh, bad things happen and people are trampling over one another to get the stuff, but then it's like, okay, yeah, that's the stereotype, but like, what are we gonna do about it? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's for someone else to figure out. But couple like just Black Friday news. Some of the best-selling items were the Amazon Fire Stick with the Alexa voice.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. Like, that sells so much, but I don't really know anyone who has that.
That's true. And like, what's the point of having? I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's like that as far as like where you get your TV and where you get your streaming. There's so much of that.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like that kind of stuff is swept under the rug, especially with like Disney Plus coming out.
Yeah.
And so like again you have like the Alexa voice, and then you have so much other stuff because you have like the
sports,
Google
like, you
Home
got
and
music.
Exactly.
You can tell it to do anything.
Exactly.
You can tell it to. There's the new stuff. You can like tell it to lock your doors. Or
Oh yeah. Yeah.
turn the shower off. Like.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean. Also, the Echo Dot was selling a lot. The speaker.
Oh yeah.
So that works with the Amazon Alexa.
Oh,
So
okay.
stream stuff. I guess that's the circular one.
Yeah.
That's it's kind of weird, like, because these aren't cheap things. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like people are just buying easy. It's like you wouldn't expect that many people to have enough money for, I don't know, the Alexa, like those high-tech items.
Right. Well, I think that's why Black Friday is such a big thing because, like, I mean, I don't know exactly, like, percentage-wise how good these deals are. And there's a reason why there's only one day out of the year where you
Yeah.
can get the best deals.
Yeah.
But it's for people, like you said, like, that can't afford those things, but they want them. So I think that's,
Yeah.
like, that has to be the biggest motivation for shopping on Black Friday.
So they just save up all their money for Black Friday and then just blow it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, did you do any Black Friday shopping?
I did not do any Black Friday shopping again. I stayed at home. I was actually thinking about going Black Friday shopping, but honestly, just staying at home, hanging out with the family was way more important than,
Yeah.
especially like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's just like you're full from Thanksgiving, and you just want to hang out with your family, especially like for a college student who's coming home for Thanksgiving. But what about you? Did you do any Black Friday shopping?
I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like, I think it doesn't really make any sense. Like, if I'm gonna come home to my family, I'm gonna like want to spend more time around them. Like, I can just shop any other day of the year. But
Is there a point in your life where you would want to go Black Friday shopping? Like at a store?
maybe if I buy my first house or something.
Ooh.
And I mean, you need like couches and
Oh, that's true.
appliances, and you need to buy a bunch of stuff for it.
Oh,
That might be easy and like
more practical. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. More practical
Yeah,
buying
I
for
don't.
Christmas.
What were you thinking? Like,
I think when I think of Black Friday shopping, I think of stuff you just splurge on. Stuff that you usually wouldn't buy, but you're like, oh, it's on sale. I'm going to
Yeah.
buy that.
Yeah.
I would never buy that unless it's on Black Friday. That's usually what I think.
Okay.
But I like your idea of like getting more like couches and more practical
yeah,
stuff.
like that would. I feel like that would be actually taking advantage of it, like in the long run.
That's true. Not a lot of people do that, to be honest. They
No.
think of like just Christmas shopping, but really like
Yeah.
I mean your point. I mean I don't know if there's like a lot of stores that
Yeah,
do,
I don't know.
do like more practical stuff. I think it's more like technology and movies
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, entertainment. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that would be better in the long term.
oh yeah.
But did you do any Cyber Monday shopping?
I wish, dude. Honestly, coming back to school on Monday, it's just like I feel like everything hit me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
I've done Cyber Monday shopping in the past, like on Amazon and
Yeah.
and other places. I've gotten some really good deals. I love Cyber Monday. It's a good time to like either you don't want to go Black Friday shopping or you miss Black Friday shopping.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh wait, there's
Yeah.
Cyber Monday.
Yeah. You just want to stay in the house.
Yeah.
order it
Have you
all.
done any Cyber Monday shopping?
I did a bit of Christmas shopping.
Oh, okay.
With it, like my family, we all put our wish lists on Amazon. and
That's
kinda-
awesome.
So we would all just get each other's
That's
Christmas
really cool.
shopping out the way.
Yeah.
But it sounds like our time is wrapping up.
Yep.
I'm Joe,
And I'm Justin.
and good night, Bridgewater.
See ya.
Thank you, Justin and Joe, on the rundown on Black Friday. And for someone who still works in retail, I'm going to tell you, it's still very, very brutal. Up next, we have Ayinde Roberts, Brandon Wells, and Justin Rogers discussing Cinema Talks. They will be discussing their best and yet worst movies of this year. And I gotta tell you, I think one of the worst movies I've seen so far this year, I'm not sure, maybe the second It movie. And I'm gonna give it to the boys.
Good evening, Bridgewater. My name is Ayinde Roberts.
I'm Justin Rogers.
And I'm Brandon Wells.
And it is a new segment of Cinema Talk where we talk movie math, movie news, and, well, just anything else movie related. So the year is winding down. Not a lot of big releases. You know, there's a certain Star Wars that's happening. Who really cares about that? So to commemorate for the last Cinema Talk of the year, I figured we go through and talk about some of our favorite movies of the year, some of our least favorites. I would like to first briefly just talk about something that happened this morning. The Black Widow trailer released this morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Just very briefly before we get into talking about our favorites, I think the movie looked really good. I'm really excited for it. I like David Harbour as the Red Guardian. Basically, what I'm seeing, I like a lot.
I'm impressed. I'm definitely impressed with it. I think the time period that they do it too, because it's before Civil War.
It's after Civil War, before Infinity War.
Yes, so that's when it's at, and that's a perfect timing. Perfect timing, because you don't think about, oh, what was Black Widow doing during that time? And so watching that trailer, I was like, this is perfect, and it's a great way to do that movie without having a bunch of flashbacks, in my opinion. So I think Marvel's going to definitely pull this off, and this is the beginning of Phase 4, correct?
Yep.
And this is just a great way to begin Phase 4, in my opinion.
I feel like I'm in the minority, as if I'm kind of dying a little. That was a weird choice of words.
Very poor choice of words.
I feel like this is an odd choice to follow up Endgame with. Well, I mean, obviously had Far From Home. Lost my voice for a second. Obviously had Far From Home, but I feel like we still haven't gotten a big Marvel blockbuster since Endgame. And I don't know if Marvel can really ever top what they've already had. And I feel like they're having a tough time letting go of their big actors, like Black Widow, spoiler alert, died in Endgame. So, I mean, I don't know if this is just like for cash grab, but I mean, again, we'll wait for the movie to come out. Like, it might be good, might be bad, who knows?
Yeah.
So we just want to talk about that really briefly. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's on YouTube right now. I think it's number 1 or number 2 trending right now.
Oh, please go watch it.
Yeah, check
please
it out.
Watch it.
So we're gonna go ahead and talk about our best and worst of 2019. So we're gonna start with the worst. Let's just get this out of the way. Endgame and Joker.
We're not talking about
it's unanimous in here.
Great
movies. We love both of those movies. We're not going to talk about them.
Yep.
But so we're going to talk about, and that's for the best. Not saying those two movies are not good, because those movies are phenomenal.
Yes.
Obviously, we're only talking about major theatrical releases. We're not talking anything like straight to DVD, anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's only fair that you want me to start, because I think so
you go,
I have
buddy,
a,
it's
I have
all
a, so quick honorable mention. I'm not going to talk about it really deeply. Hellboy. So for my 3 worst movies of the year, I have Men in Black International, Dark Phoenix, and Charlie's Angels. Those movies are the pinnacle of disappointment. It's not just the fact that they're bad. It's that they are following franchises that I actually that I enjoyed a lot. Obviously, the X-Men franchise, one of the most storied franchises in comic books. The Dark Phoenix saga, one of the most storied story arcs of all time, and you ruin it again. Men in Black International. I love the Men in Black franchise. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, you ruin it by trying to do something different, and again, there's a difference between concept and execution. Same with Charlie's Angels. I like the Cameron Diaz Charlie's Angels movies. They're funny. They work for what they are. This tried to be more than that. Tried to be deeper than that. And it just turned out poorly. And Elizabeth Banks, you need to take responsibility for the fact that you made a bad movie. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I agree with some of the things you said, Ayinde. I don't have an honorable mention for worst movie of the year, because there were a couple of movies I missed that I wanted to see, or just a couple movies I haven't seen. So there's really only 3 movies I would consider something that I didn't particularly enjoy. And I think you hit the Dark Phoenix thing perfect. I think that Fox was incapable of making a good Dark Phoenix plotline. X-Men 3 was... It was. Yeah.
It exists.
It was. It was a thing that happened. And Dark Phoenix was probably the most rushed movie I've ever seen, because they wanted to get it out before the deal broke and all that stuff between them and Disney. A whole bunch of other stuff. It was the last one. It didn't really have a good closure on it. And again, like every single one of the X-Men movies took place in a different decade, but the characters still looked like they were 20 years old when they were supposed to be 40 to 50 in the movies. It just, I don't know, they didn't really try too hard in that department either. So Dark Phoenix is definitely on my list for one of the worst movies of the year. It had some good things about it, of course. Acting was fine, but again, just a couple production issues that just really didn't make it that enjoyable of a movie. Very disappointing. Captain Marvel, I have very strong opinions of Captain Marvel. It is my least favorite MCU movie. Yes, it includes Thor: The Dark World. I do not like Captain Marvel. I think it was terrible plot. I think the acting was horrendous. It did a couple, or at least Brie Larson's acting. Samuel L. Jackson was fine. But I think that the thing that did with Samuel L. Jackson's with the cat was just absolutely unexcusable.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that. That was inexcusable.
I think that the effects were terrible. It was not fun to look at. It's a movie I saw twice, and I regret seeing it both times.
Hey, we were in LA to see it the first time, so you come on, you gotta at least love the experience.
Ayinde and I were at the fan premiere in LA, and that was a great experience, which says a lot about the movie itself, because I still didn't enjoy the movie. And then last for my bad movies is Glass. Glass is the follow-up to Unbreakable and Split. And this is another movie I found very disappointing. I think that M. Night Shyamalan went below what he should have done with his budget. He didn't request a lot for the budget. Very cheaply made movie, and you could really tell by the end of the movie. Very rushed ending, just no closure at all. Wasn't an ending I wanted to see. I think that might be, probably as far as my expectations went, it was the most disappointing movie I saw of the year.
I think for me, so I'm going to go with two of the movies that you mentioned, Dark Phoenix, obviously, and then going to be talking about Men in Black again, and then also going to be talking about Secret Life of Pets 2. The first one I didn't think was bad. It wasn't bad. I think the plotline was good, but I think there's a commonality between all three of these movies. They were made to make money. That's it. And I'm not a fan when you try to release a movie just to make money, because then it's usually just not good. You release a movie because another movie is popular, and it just doesn't sit well with me. I mean, I think a lot of the points that you were talking about with Dark Phoenix and with Men in Black, they're great franchises. They're great movie series that we love, and then you ruin them. And so what does that say to us about people who love those movies? It kind of leaves us with a bad feeling in our stomachs. And I will say, though, that with Dark Phoenix, Hans Zimmer, his score, fantastic. Saved the movie. I think like a lot of his movies saved it, just like Batman versus Superman. But
yeah, and what better way to cap off this last cinema talk of the year than to talk about the best movies of the year? Again, excluding Endgame and Joker. So I have an honorable mention, and I think it's a movie that you would personally enjoy, and I know we talk about a lot, is Alita Battle Angel. So good. But my three best, not including Endgame and Joker, are Spider-Man Far From Home, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and shocker, Dragon Ball Super Broly. So I'm going to get the obvious ones out the way. Spider-Man Far From Home. I love the character of Spider-Man. I love Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal's portrayal was A1. It was A1. I liked the visuals were really great. I liked what the twist that they took with Mysterio. I expected it, but I also didn't. And that post-credit scene.
Oh my god.
Probably the second best post-credit scene besides Nick Fury talking about the Avengers Initiative. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I am a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. I love his work. He's one of my inspirations. I'm truly a huge fan of his, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did not disappoint. People who tell you that this movie is all about the Sharon Tate murders have not seen the movie. It only takes up a fraction of that, and it's a beautiful look into old school Hollywood, old school 60s, 70s Hollywood. But obviously, the elephant in the room, Dragon Ball Super Broly, came out in January, and I still can't stop talking about it. It's even if you're not a big Dragon Ball fan, I implore you to watch it. It's action packed. It has a pretty good story that's actually emotionally resonating, and the visuals are fantastic. A lot of the action sequences are probably some of the best that you will see. Again, besides a certain superhero movie that came out in April, but yeah, those are my three.
There was one of your movies that I said that was on my watch list of movies I wanted to see but didn't get to. I really wanted to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I haven't gotten the chance to see it, so hopefully I get to see that one day. But anyway, my honorable mention that didn't quite make it in my top 3 of the year, but I still definitely have to mention Toy Story 4. What a great movie that was. Anyone who says otherwise, I don't really know what you're talking about. In my opinion, it has a strong candidacy for best Toy Story movie ever made. They haven't made a bad Toy Story movie, and this continues it. What you thought was a perfect closure of the third movie, they somehow brought in and made a good, compelling story for the fourth movie, and I believed every minute of it. So great job by Pixar for making that great movie. And you mentioned this one, Ayinde, and I have to throw this one in because, boyo, my biggest surprise in the theater in years, Alita Battle Angel, in my opinion, is Captain Marvel done right. All the feminist messages and all that stuff, Alita did better than Captain Marvel, way better. Gave their character plot, gave their character depth, gave the character emotion, gave the character something to just live for almost. And I think Alita Battle Angel was so good. Definitely a very overlooked movie. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. Again, I haven't read the original source material, so this is coming from someone who just saw it in theaters. I'm excited for the sequel to come out, though. And my next movie on my list is It Chapter 2. I know that this may get some backlash because I understand a lot of the arguments, but I was a fan of the first It movie, and the second It movie blew me away. The acting, I never thought in my life I would see James McAvoy get out-acted by somebody, but Bill Hader proved me wrong. Bill Hader was an old Richie, incredible. The story, the ending, you can say whatever you want about the ending. I wasn't the world's biggest fan of the way it ended. Of course, there was a bunch of fluff in there. There are arguments it had to be a 3-hour long movie, but I like longer movies. I'm a fan of longer movies. The longer, the better. I'm here. I paid my money. I want to get the most out of my money. And I think it did that. It was a very compelling movie. It had the right amount of humor, horror, just everything I wanted to see in a movie, It Chapter 2 had. And closure as well, which is something bad movies don't have. And then my last movie on this list is that a movie I don't think, I was talking to you earlier, and we haven't seen. It's Knives Out. It was the new mystery movie that came out, directed by none other than Rian Johnson, which, if you know anything about me, I don't like Rian Johnson. I think he ruined Star Wars in The Last Jedi, but Knives Out was good. The reason Last Jedi was bad is because he subverted expectations. Knives Out was good because he subverted expectations. It's a mystery movie. You're supposed to subvert expectations. Rian Johnson developed an absolute thriller of a mystery movie. Congratulations to him for that. It was a very good movie, good storytelling. Once you thought it was going to go somewhere, it went the other direction, and it made sense in very compelling stories. So, Justin, I'm curious to see what you have.
All right, so I wasn't able to see a lot of the movies that you guys were mentioning. Knives Out looked fantastic. I do really want to watch that movie. An honorable mention for me, I think, is one, me and Ayinde were talking about this. We did not remember that it even came out in 2019. The Lego movie, the second part. I think that was just as good. Probably not better than the first one, but it was just as good. I thought it'd be worse. And like I said earlier with my movies that I didn't like, a lot of the movie sequels aren't usually really good, but this one was just as good in my opinion. A lot of the movies that I have are movies that pretty much everybody has seen. I think Spider-Man Far From Home is up there. How to Train Your Dragon 3 blew my mind. I think it was the best out of How You Train Your Dragon. It was a great way to end it. It was fantastic. I think they played the character of Hiccup very well. I think that ended the series in a great way. I think it just, that character development that they had in the first one and then going in the second one, they tied it up with a bow. Fantastic in that third one. And then my last movie, Toy Story 4, I think it's the best of the Toy Story. I think How to Train Your Dragon and Toy Story, for each of them, they just got better and better and better as you kept going. So those are my 3 that I would say that those are my favorite besides Joker and Endgame.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, just we got 1 more minute. We can briefly talk about like either one of those, because those 2 movies represent the reasons why we go to movies.
These are 2 movies that pretty much speak for themselves and gained the highest grossing movie of all time. Congratulations. Very well deserved. Yeah. And Joker, what a cinematic masterpiece that was.
Joaquin, I'm telling you, Oscar season, it's going to be between Tom Hanks and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
But Joaquin Phoenix needs the win. He deserves it more.
Yes.
His performance of Arthur Fleck and the Joker, it's so good that it should not have worked as well as it did, but it was phenomenal. And even like Endgame, best original score, 100%. But that's about it. That's the time that we have. Thank you guys for listening to our new segment, Cinema Talk. We'll be back again next in January. So as usual, my name is Ayinde.
And I'm Justin.
And I'm Brandon.
And we'll see you in January.
See you guys.
Thank you, Ayinde, Brandon, and Justin, on your views on the best/worst movies of the year. And now I know if I go to see Charlie's Angels, not to go with such high expectations. Next, we have National Sports, led by Joe Carron and Ayinde Roberts. They will be discussing the NFL, NBA, college football, and basketball news.
Hey guys, I'm Joe.
And I'm Ayinde.
And we're going to talk to you guys about some national sports. Let's start this off with the National Football League. We got Ravens and Pats atop the AFC, Saints and Seahawks atop the NFC. Just take a wild guess at who you think the Super Bowl's going to be.
Honestly,
between.
I don't. It's probably my honest thoughts. I don't think there's gonna be one team that's leading the AFC, like one of these divisions, that's going to go to the Super Bowl, not the other. I think the Ravens are definitely going to the Super Bowl. That team is probably the most complete Ravens team that I've seen. That team is scary good. Lamar Jackson is having a year.
Yeah.
But I do not think it's going to be either the Saints or the Seahawks. I think it's going to be between the 49ers and hopefully the Packers, but I'm not putting all my chips in that basket. But the 49ers still look really good, even in that loss to the Ravens. They put up a fight. I think we might see that rematch from Super Bowl. I believe it was 40. I think it's 48.
Oh, the recent one?
Yeah.
Wasn't the lights went out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Ravens are scary. Bad news for the rest of the league. No one has stopped Lamar Jackson or even started to figure him out. And then the Patriots, they're always a threat, but
I think the problem with the Patriots this year is that their receiving core took a really huge hit.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost Josh Gordon to injury, and then they put him on IR, and then he basically just got cut from the team. Julian Edelman has been out for a minute. They just signed Mohamed Sanu, which I thought would be a pretty good get for them, but he really hasn't produced the numbers that I think he should, especially under under coaching that's led by Bill Belichick and with the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Brady.
The man, the myth, the legend.
I mean, say what you will about Brady. Dude's great. Dude's a fantastic player.
Yeah, I mean, he's a winner. He's insane. And then other than Ravens, Patriots, I don't really see any threatening teams in the AFC. It's just kind of a
I want to say shouts out to my man's Justin on the Beyond the Blitz podcast. Bills are going to win the AFC East. Looking the way the Patriots are playing, it could happen now.
Hey, I don't know. That's a toss-up.
I think the Bills are a game or two behind.
Yeah, they're 1 win behind.
So it could happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Fingers crossed. Moving on to college NCAA football. We got Ohio State and LSU looking strong atop. So I feel like America is split in two halves. Half of everyone doesn't want to see Alabama in the playoffs. The other half absolutely does want to see them in the playoffs. Where do you stand there?
Listen, I'm not a big fan of the Tide, but I love watching them play. But that loss to Auburn was detrimental to their playoff game. That hurt them a lot. They dropped from 5th to 9th.
Yeah.
That hurts.
And I mean, they're definitely showing that they can produce on offense. I know they had a couple turnovers on Saturday, but their defense is just getting gashed by these other SEC teams.
Right.
LSU, their running back and Auburn's running back both. Well, Auburn. Bo Nix went off on Alabama, but yeah, some holes there. And then we got Utah at 6. Do you think a lot of people don't want to see Pac-12 teams in the playoffs? They don't think they can really compete.
Every team, I don't like when people say those kind of things. Where the people from this division don't deserve to be playing in the playoffs. I mean, stop. Every team, if they play hard, if they earn it, if they earn a spot in the playoffs, they earned it.
Yeah,
they earned it by playing well. They earned it by reading defenses. They utilize what they're good at, and they're making really great plays. They're led by a great coach. Those are the kind of teams that deserve playoff runs.
Yeah, and I'm with you there, and that brings us to NBA.
Oh boy, do I have feelings
we
about
are
the NBA
smack
right
in the middle of the NBA season, and what's on your mind? What's
All right, so
what's
there's a
got you
couple
going?
things that I want to talk about. First of all, the two leading teams in each conference are the Bucks and the Lakers. So both of those go without saying. Giannis playing out of his mind. He has his team is really good, and he's just leading a great Bucks team to probably a championship.
Yeah.
And the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are the Lakers. LeBron, Anthony Davis putting up numbers. Dwight Howard, even Dwight Howard of all people, are putting up great numbers. They had to sign him. They had to sign him after Boogie, and people were like, "Oh, that's not going to work." And it's been working out really well for them. But even more like shocking is who are in the bottom. I mean, obviously you have the Knicks at the bottom because that franchise just needs a complete overhaul.
Then we got the Warriors.
Yes,
bottom of the West.
I think the shock of the season so far is just how bad the Warriors are. It shows you how crucial Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant was to that team.
Yeah.
Without them and with Steph Curry, even when Steph Curry was playing, Steph Curry is gonna play like Steph Curry. He's always gonna play like Steph Curry. But without any other players, like he didn't have his other splash brother in Klay Thompson. He doesn't have Kevin Durant. Now you see that you cannot rely on Steph Curry. You need to have you can't just rely on his 3-point shot anymore. You have to be able to play defense. You have to be able to you have to be able to make offensive plays that are smart, that are efficient, and you just don't see that with the Warriors now. And now with Steph gone for a while, the Warriors have no one to fall back on. They don't have a leader. They don't have a starting leader, and it's really hurting them right now. They're 4-18. They've won 2 of their last 10 games.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but it's kind of a relief just to know that, like, as of right now, the Warriors are not going to be in the finals. Like, it's going to be 2 teams, like, likely that we haven't seen in the finals for a while. Like, how cool would that be if it was, like, the Bucks and the Clippers in the final? Just, like, something we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and like if you look at the top 8 right now, like there's a couple teams on here where I'm like, oh wow, they any of these teams could feasibly make to the NBA finals. I personally I'm not a big Lakers fan, but I mean you can't knock them out. I wanted the Nuggets of all teams. The Nuggets they're second in the West, and that's shocking. Clippers are trailing right behind it. The Mavs again are Luka Doncic is playing. He is the crux of that team now.
Yeah.
The Mavericks are should definitely try to build around Luka Doncic and craft him into being like the next Dirk. Because he's just so good. The Rockets obviously, James Harden, Westbrook, come on, that duo is scary.
Back to the Nuggets. I know they got Jokic, who's obviously like their driving force. Who else do they have that can score with them?
I believe. I'm not sure because it's kind of weird. Like seeing they got Jamal Murray. They got Gary Harris. Millsap is on the team. Okay. But when you talk about like your impact players. I mean Jamal Murray did. Their last game, he had a showing. He showed up and showed out that game, and they have a game that's tonight at 9:00 against the Lakers, which will prove just how good the Nuggets are, and they haven't done so well against a LeBron-led team.
Yeah.
But I think they have what they need. Like Jamal Murray is probably gonna have a show. Jokic is gonna be great, but LeBron's LeBron, and Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis. The brow is just way too good. He fits the Lakers scheme so perfectly.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see that. And that moves us on to college basketball. So we got Louisville on top, and we got a couple upsets going on. Duke drops down to 10th after who was it they lost to?
I think it was. I think they just lost to. Well, I actually didn't get a chance to catch that game, But I
Oh,
heard
Stephen F. Austin. Stephen
Oh,
F. Austin,
wow.
that team from Texas.
and just shout out to my home state, Maryland's number 3 right now. You know,
Go
gotta
Terps.
show the Terps some love.
Yeah.
But that's all we got for national
Yeah, well,
sports.
yeah, thank you guys. I'm Joe,
And I'm Ayinde.
and you stay classy, Bridgewater.
Thank you, Joe and Ayinde, for giving us a rundown on national sports. And it's better y'all than me because I generally have no idea what I'm watching 95% of the time. Up next will be our last segment of the evening, and I know it'll be something that many students are happy about. There may be some that are a little bit sad about, but it is the end of the semester. And this will be ran by Michael Caldwell and Justin Rogers. They will be giving us some tips on what to prepare for and how to get through finals week. And I don't know about you guys, but I know I definitely need it. So take it away, guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is Justin Rogers here,
And Michael Caldwell.
and we are going to talk about just the end of the semester and what people should be expecting. So if you're a freshman or maybe a sophomore and you're a transfer here at Bridgewater, we're just going to give you a little bit of experience of what are finals like, what should you be doing, what should you expect the next 3 days of this last week of school here for the fall semester here at Bridgewater College. So Michael, what's something that you, or kind of a tip or advice that you would give for someone for either finals week or the last couple of days?
Say some advice is, honestly, I know it seems so stressful at finals, but to just enjoy, the last time you got here for, the semester, because you'll be in break for a bit, and then you'll go start another semester. So, hanging out with friends and stuff, talking to professors about maybe other classes you could take is always fun, but also getting some studying in. It's all about balance, really, because when you really look at it, finals, they're an important part of our grade, but it's just another test that we've taken before, and so
that's true.
you've already, even if you're a freshman first semester, you've already taken a test, so you kind of have a familiar of what it is, and so don't stress as much, definitely study, definitely put in the
Yes.
work, but also enjoy and spend time with your friends.
I would definitely agree. There has to be a balance with spending time with friends or doing your work. And I think there has to be a balance between the both of them. Because if you lean towards one or the other, you're either going to get cruddy grades or you're just going to be stressed out a lot.
Yeah.
So it, again, like you said, it's a balance. But I think part of it is also learning. I think this is the time where you learn how you rest. And sometimes it's just sitting by yourself and watching some Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever the latest streaming service is out there. Or sometimes it's hanging out with people. So it's learning how you rest, how you relax. I think finals time is a perfect time to figure out how you do that, because once you get in the real world, you work 8 to 10 hours a day, and then you come home. What do you want to do? Do you want to hang out with people, or do you want to just take some time and read a book or watch a movie or watch a show by yourself or with your loved one or whatever? So this is a great time to figure out how do you rest and how do you relax. So what is one thing that you would say that you try to do the week before finals? So this is the last week of classes, and for some professors, I had a conversation in one class today, how some professors are super chill, they don't really go over new information, but then there's some professors where all they'll do is talk about new information for the final and stuff, and thankfully those professors, it's not cumulative. But so what would you say, what is your experience or some advice you have for what do you do during this last week of school?
Right, definitely. Usually what I would do is, some classes, there was always a project that last week and then exams later, but maybe for me at least is I would definitely, like you said, find out if they're cumulative or non-cumulative, and you can kind of tell from the class what that's going to be. And what I like to do is, and some people don't like to do this, but I like to, and you can use this with Canvas now, you can put in the hypothetical grade you would get for a final exam, and then you can see, what do I need to get this overall final grade? And so I do a lot of that because I just like to know. I like to know the best case scenario and the worst case scenario.
Right. Also, though, that's kind of hard for some professors that don't put grades on Canvas.
Yeah.
So
right. Mm-hmm.
But that's a great. I think it just depends on the person. I think it's the same thing with how you relax. Either that can be good for you to know, or it can stress the heck out of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you just oh my gosh, I need a B to either pass a class or get an A or B or whatever you're satisfied with grade wise. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I could be okay, I have to like study harder than I usually do, or just I can relax. You know, I have an A in the class, and you know, if I get like a C on this final, I'll still have an A.
Right.
So I could just BS this. You know, I could just but usually like I would try to just do your best and leave the rest to just how you do. I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. No. Exactly. And yeah, that's my main thing. And of course, like. Find that balance, studying and stuff, but also hanging out with friends and just doing, and like you said too, like finding out how do you rest, do you go and watch, the live stream service, or do you go out and hang out with friends? I think another thing too is, definitely just think about what GPA do you want to end with. That's another thing that I don't think about till the semester's over is, that ended up being my GPA. When it's like,
Right.
What do you want your GPA in the high threes, the low threes? What do you want your GPA in? And then definitely like, think about, is this class mainly also not even worry about grades, but what did I learn from this class? What can I, apply from this class into another, subject and stuff. And that's what's really it's all about. That's what school's all about, really. It's like what's really cool about it. But yeah, it's crazy, that it's the last 2 weeks. We just came back from Thanksgiving and December started right away,
Yeah, I feel that. It is really weird how it's December already. This semester has flown by, and I can't wait to see, like, spring semester is going to fly by. I mean, this is your last semester. So what would be some advice or how about this? Since you're a senior, since we're both seniors, let's kind of, we got a little bit of time. We got about 4 minutes. Let's just do like your craziest story of like studying for finals last minute, or like you did it perfectly, or like you thought you did really bad on an exam and you actually did really well. So of your couple of years here at Bridgewater, or my 4 years, what is a story that you have that's like crazy from finals?
Right. Well, I'd say one story, this is more with just a studying aspect, is one time I was studying for communications law in McKinney, and this was at like 2 a.m. I was like studying for this exam, which I wouldn't recommend staying up that late to study, but
don't do it.
But I was, and I learned my lesson because I heard the phone ring in McKinney at 2 a.m. I got out of there right away. I was like, this place is haunted. I'm scared. I'm out. I was gone. Yeah. Because, they always say like, around the buildings that certain buildings are haunted and stuff.
Right.
And I was always like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I heard that and I was like, yeah, I better get going. And so, that was something with just studying, but also just, I would say that, believe it or not, the harder ones are probably the take home final exams.
Oh my gosh,
because I put them to last minute and then I'm like, oh, I really should have been doing this the whole time, because they're kind of tough, yeah. Those are probably some crazy ones, I'd say.
Okay. So for me, oh my gosh. So my sophomore year, I think it was fall semester, so it was about 2 years ago. I was in a class and I had a paper to write for that class. I would definitely not recommend doing this. This is an awful experience for me. So I wrote the paper the night before. I started it the night before. I had something and I thought it was great, and then I realized it wasn't good and I had to scrap it. And I decided to hang out with friends instead of writing the paper. So I decided, you know what, I'll just spend all night writing it. Well, not a good idea, because I had an 8 a.m. exam the following morning. I stayed up till 6 a.m. writing this paper. Fortunately, I got a good grade on it, but I would definitely not recommend it. But here's the thing. So I did that, and thankfully I studied for my 8 a.m. exam like a couple days earlier, so I was good. But I wrote that paper at 6 a.m. I think I finally went to bed at like 6:30 in the morning, woke up at 7:30 to go to my exam, just took it, and then took a quick like half an hour nap, because in the same class that I had my paper in, I had a presentation, and I didn't even do the PowerPoint. We had to do like a story map, so I made that like in like half an hour in the morning, and then I went back, took a nap, woke up, and then went to my presentation and did it, and then I just like slept the rest of the day.
I really, when you're explaining that story, I feel like I totally remember that. Actually, I remember you I remember seeing you that day.
I was like
I think.
one of the first times we met.
Yeah. I think I remember that. Yeah, that's it. I remember the story. I was like, this sounds very familiar. But yeah. And so there's some crazy times during exam week, but it's always fun. I always like look back and laugh and yeah, like I think just enjoy this last bit of the semester because you're gonna get to senior year like us, and you're gonna want to do it all over again. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Well, guys, we want to thank you for listening. Hopefully, you'll take some of our advice and don't stay up till 6 a.m. writing a paper when you have an 8 a.m. exam. So thank you guys for listening. This has been Justin Rogers,
and this has been Michael Caldwell.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Michael and Jordan. I can make no promises that I won't stay up till 6 a.m. writing a paper, but I will take your advice about having a good, healthy balance between friends and studying. And that would be about it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and I am deeply sad to say that this will be our last broadcast for the semester, but do not fret because we will be back next semester, January 15th. And I am Jalissa White-Jones, your host, and thank you guys for listening in.